Well, hello there, welcome to the Obi-Thorn line. And in today's video, we're doing a review of Star Wars The ACOLYTE. If you like the sound of that, like and subscribe and stick around.
Star Wars ACOLYTE. I haven't seen it. You have.
Yeah.
Here's your chance to try and convince me to watch it or to save me the time and punishment and not watch it. I've heard you talk about it as you've been going, so I'm intrigued to hear what your review is on it. So, getting some of the formalities out the way. We looked it up, we saw it's got a $180 million budget, which you said was more than Obi-Wan.
Yeah, don't see what the budget went towards. Maybe the actors, who knows.
You said it was set in the High Republic era and it's before the events of the Skywalker saga. So what's that exactly mean? What is considered the Skywalker saga?
Basically what we see in the movies, the Clone Wars, and all that. And the High Republic is when the Jedi was at its fullest power.
Okay, cool. So obviously we're not going to see Anakin show up in this or Luke Skywalker or anything like that. It's before their time. 8 episodes. It stars a bit of a handful of a name. We got Lee Jung-jae, which apparently he's from Squid Games.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Squid Games, have you?
No.
I did recognise the face though. And then we've got Amandla Stenberg, which they said she was in the Hunger Games, but I didn't recognise her from the Hunger Games, and I'm a fan of that trilogy. So that's the formalities. Tell me, what is the plot of ACOLYTE?
The plot of this show is that there's Master Jedis have been getting murdered, and then Sol is on the case to work out why these Jedi Masters are getting murdered, because one of his fellow apprentice is accused of the murder because she looks like the person that is doing the crime.
Okay, so it's a mystery kind of thriller, like a murder mystery. You got to try and work out, prove one's innocence, and by finding out who actually did it.
Yeah.
So it's done over 8 episodes. I guess you'll explain a bit more as we go. We'll move into the scoring. What did you give the plot and storytelling show?
I gave this a 2. The storytelling, it moves like a seesaw. There's moments when you're really enjoying it, and then when it comes to the storytelling and the writing, the characters change, their motives, their reason for wanting to do the show. It doesn't feel like they would actually want to do that, unfortunately. And this story with the plot, with the storytelling, is very mumbo jumbo. It doesn't make a lot of sense. They just should have not had the twins in the show and be about the Sith. That was where the story was really getting interesting, and the lightsaber fights were really cool, but unfortunately the plot isn't. And we do get cameos, but cameos does not make the show good.
The biggest piece
Very
of
interesting too. That's probably the lowest score I've ever seen you give something for. What about the cinematography? So we're talking visuals, the sounds, the CGI. How did this do? Star Wars has a pretty high standard when it comes to these type of things. So where does ACOLYTE sit?
It gets a 4. It does a decent enough job, but can't get higher because for budget higher than Obi-Wan Kenobi, I don't see where the money went. I don't know where the budget went for that much high of a budget. The Revenge of the Sith, the chambers are where the Jedi are spread out, and then this show, the rooms that they use are barely visible. So for me, it just was a wrong choice, and I still don't know where the money went for the show.
What did you give the directing of this? So we've got 8 episodes. How did they pace out? Did you like the order, the sequence? I don't know if this featured flashbacks or flash forwards, but how was it all put together? What do you give the directing?
This gets a 3. It started off interesting, and then when they did flashbacks and all the stuff, so ended up you wanting to know the answer, you wanting to know things, but what a good mystery does, it keeps you on the edge of your seat long enough that you want to know. But with this show, it basically shows everything that happened in episode 3, and you basically get to see the same episode twice but in reverse order to see what actually happened. And I was bored, and good shows don't do that, so that's why it gets a 3 with the pacing, unfortunately.
It sounds creative to do that, to show an episode in reverse order, but maybe it just didn't hit the mark, I guess, if you weren't engaged. Which moves to the next category, experience and engagement. What was the experience watching the show, the engagement level? Were you chomping at the bit to see the next episode, or you kind of just going through
That is one big pile
This
of shit.
gets a 2 for me. This was probably the most boring show I've seen all year. Even though I'm a Star Wars fan, I felt like I was just watching it because I was a Star Wars fan. It made me quite frustrated that they made the show feel like that Jedi are like predators, just want to get children, and I was very frustrated that they have basically made the 2 twins the main reason why Plagueis came up with the concept of Anakin. These nobody twins are the reason why we get the chosen one Anakin. It just makes me frustrated, and that's why the score is so low of being a 2.
So now we move on to the point of difference, the X factor, the creativity, whatever you want to call it. What was this show unique? Hit and miss of that.
This gets a 4. The reason why it does is because I'm actually quite happy that it chose a different era to tell in Star Wars, the High Republic. I just think it did it the wrong way. It should have just focused on telling better storylines than what we got. And even to point on that is each episode has a different writer, so you can tell that, unfortunately, that's why this point of difference isn't that good, because there's different writers. And they could have gone with, and this is what they were originally going to tell, is a Sith storyline. What this is not a Sith storyline. It's not even about that. So unfortunately, they failed on this aspect.
It seems like it had a unique premise, it just missed the mark.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea of being in the High Republic and being a semi-murder mystery does sound like a pretty cool, or something different for Star Wars, so it's surprising to see it score poorly in that area, so I guess it just missed the mark. So what about the ending satisfaction? I know for you, shows and movies, the ending's fairly important, whether it's left on a cliffhanger, was that a good thing? Did they leave a movie or show open-ended, or did we just get an ending that was like, yep, that's great, one and done, move on? How did you rate the ending of this? And what was your satisfaction level of the ending of this series?
For me, it gets a 5 because of 2 cameos that they did, but that has nothing to do with the show. It's the potential what they can do with future projects. But when it comes to the actual show, I think it's pathetic to blame it everything that happened all on Soul, and that's the reason why the Jedi think in the Phantom Menace that they haven't seen a Sith in over a millennium. So for that, it's very 50-50 for me, because I'm excited of what potential they could do for Plagueis. They are hurting the legacy on other character. They definitely are, but yeah, very mixed on the ending. But for me, cameos are something that needs to be earned. You can't just chuck in characters and go, oh look, there's someone there.
So is it only going to have the one season, or have they set it up for, is it set up for more?
It's set up for more.
Okay, so you're kind of on the fence. You'd be satisfied if it ended because you just don't want more.
Yeah.
But if they had used it as sequel baiting, then maybe it's an unsatisfactory ending?
Yeah.
Okay. So what about the attraction or premise of this? So I guess we'll narrow it down to fans of, Star Wars probably, because it's hard to convince a non-Star Wars fan to watch a show that's, I know it's not fully related because you said it's before the Star Wars saga, but you're not just going to get a random to watch it. So for me as a casual Star Wars fan, how likely am I going to be attracted to the premise of this show?
This gets a 6 because I would probably see a lot of people that is very invested in the story would probably go, oh, this sounds like a really cool concept. But why it doesn't get higher is for someone like myself that knows the storyline, is very insulted. So this is why I get the highest score, is because I think this is more attractive to Star Wars fans that are more into the Disney era of Star Wars, unlike myself, but for people like Luke that enjoy more of the Disney sort of show, so it's very mixed within who it's attractive to.
So you reckon people that are fans of The Mandalorian would probably get into this, or?
Yeah.
See, I didn't I didn't watch The Mandalorian, I didn't watch Boba Fett, but I did watch Obi-Wan, strangely enough, so I'm a bit hit and miss with the ones I watch. So what about the performance and casting of this? So we talked about the stars that are in it. How did they do, and could have there been better choices?
Definitely so. Basically, the actor that plays Sol gets the points by himself. He gets the 2, but the writing and what they do with his character, that was some weird storytelling what they did with him. At the start, he was such an awesome character, Sol, and then what they did with him was with May and with the twins. The actress that plays the twin is, I don't want to say bad things about actors because I don't know if I could do that, but someone else definitely could have played that role in such a better job. Unfortunately, this project felt lackluster and a lot of things could have been better about it. And I know I keep mentioning the budget, but I still don't see where the money went to get more than Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, it's very strange. Maybe it must be the amount of cast members in it, or maybe there was more visual effects. But $180 million to make 8 episodes isn't probably that expensive. But if you're comparing it to something that was recently made and was made for less, then yeah, you're right. So what about recommendability to others? So again, back to, let's go myself as an example, as a casual Star Wars fan that watches the movies but a bit hit and miss on their shows. How recommendable would this be to a casual fan?
This gets the same score as the other 6, a 6. This, for people that don't normally watch Star Wars, I think they could get behind this show. This is definitely a turn your brain off sort of show. I'm not saying that's a bad thing with people. Some people love to just watch a show and not think about it. This is definitely a show for you if you love to do that with shows. For me, when I watch a show, I'm always thinking about the plot. Doesn't make sense. I'm always like, even though I'm watching a show to relax, I'm always like, my brain's always thinking, does that make sense with the plot? Things like that. People, we all like different things, but I think this would appeal to people that enjoy simpler plots.
So what about genre points? So we're talking Star Wars is going to be the genre because it's such a big thing. It's like it has its own category almost. How was it for a Star Wars product?
This gets a 5. Not outstanding, but not bad. For me, it was not the best, but for someone else it could be the best Star Wars project out there, so that's why it's in the middle. I definitely hope there's in the season 2, but I know for some people out there it was the best Star Wars they have seen, so that's why it gets in the middle.
So what was your total score, Jake?
The lowest score, I don't know that if I've ever given this score low, but definitely for this year, it gets a epic fail, 39%. And for a Star Wars project, I never thought I would give that to something, but it has happened, and I don't know if that will convince Luke to watch it or not, but unfortunately, that's what it got, and I think it well deserves that score. Personally, I do not think it's worth watching for Star Wars fans, but for someone in the middle like Luke, he might enjoy it. It's just not my bag, baby.
39, that is a low score for you. We've talked before about those Star Wars fans that just criticize everything and nothing's ever good enough. And you're not like that. I think you generally give everything a genuine crack. So to give this such a low score makes me think that it must be pretty rubbish. Even though, as you talk about it and some of the premise of it makes it sound quite good, I don't think from what you've said, I don't think I'm going to bother to watch it. I need to come into a lot of free time to to get around to it, because there's a lot of other content out there that I enjoy a lot more than from what you've said about this.
Well, thank you for watching. Comment down your thoughts about it. Would you like there to be a season 2 or no more? Like and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye-bye.